Hey, welcome back, everybody. Time once again to meet our community, the Hispanic business community here in Orange County, powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And today, brought to you by a sponsor here. Who would you bring along today, John?
Welcome, everybody, to our community podcast show powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, Senior Vice President John Gutierrez. And with us today, of course, we have another special guest with us. But first and foremost, we just want to mention that today we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. Today's podcast is being brought to you by Farmers and Merchants Bank. At F&M Bank, we put purpose over profit and service above self. Ever since C.J. Walker founded the bank in 1907, some things will always be F&M Bank. With us today, we have actually a special guest from F&M Bank. If you've seen the shows before, we've had several special guests from their bank. In 2024, we had the CEO, Mr. Henry Walker. And in 2022, we were introduced to his brother, Chairman of the Board, Mr. Daniel Walker. But today, we have another special guest. He's the F&M Bank President, Mr. Kevin Tiber. Welcome, sir.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Sorry for the long intro, but I just want to make sure we point it out. And first and foremost, thank you all for always supporting us. Hispanic Heritage Month obviously is a key month for us, and we really appreciate you guys being one of our sponsors, one of our big supporters. It really helps a lot in what we do in the community, so thank you so much for that.
That's our honor. Thanks for allowing us to partner with you.
Yeah, let's start off. Most shows, what we like to do is get to know you as a person. Can you tell us about yourself, and we'll get into also how you ended up at, of course, Farmers Merchant Bank.
Sure. Kevin Tiber, I'm the president of Farmers and Merchants Bank, 32 years. But I'm a local kid. I'm an Orange County kid. Grew up in West Anaheim and continue to hold on to those county roots. There's not a lot of us natives, John. I'm sure you can recognize that.
Yes.
And when you go out, there's very few of us. So I am beholden to this county. It's a county I love. And growing up in West Anaheim, I know you said you grew up in Santa Ana.
That's right.
A lot of similarities between the two. And
very similar, Anaheim, Santa Ana.
Yeah, and that's never been lost on me. You can't shake the Anaheim out of me, and I'm an Anaheimer. And
tell us a little bit about yourself as far as how'd you end up in the banking industry, or how'd you end up at Farmers Merchant Bank?
Yeah, I went to college locally at Cal State Fullerton. Always had an interest in finance. Was that kid that read the Wall Street Journal at 12 years old, like Alex B. Keaton on Family Ties. But I always had a huge interest. Studied finance, economics at Cal State Fullerton.
Go Titans.
Go Titans. Fighting Titans, local to the end, right?
Yes.
County to the end. But started with a company out of Boston, a bank. A couple years, they were merged away. And I was in the trust business, which is a trust and estate wealth business. Yeah. And I got a call out of the blue back in 1993 from Dan Walker, who again was on the show. His grandfather just moved him over to that division. And Dan didn't have a lot of experience, actually, I think almost none at the time. And he got my name from an acquaintance that I was this guy that had all this understanding and experience in the trust business at a whopping 2 years. That was two more than Dan had at the time. I remember telling my wife the job was in Long Beach. I was living in Orange County. I remember, my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, but I told her that, hey, this job's in Long Beach. I'm not sure that's probably a deal breaker. But I met Dan Walker, got to experience the F&M culture, and decided to take the plunge, joined F&M back in 93, and best decision of my life. I had a great run. He and I did a lot of great things at that small, somewhat neglected trust company at that time, back in 93. Built it into a firepower as it is now. It's a really great company. And then he was clear with me as well that he's going to be toggling between the commercial bank side and the trust company. So I basically was Dan Walker's lieutenant for the majority of my career. Greght mentor, by the way.
30-some years. Right?
32.
32
years.
Wow.
Yeah, 32 years.
You know, it's rare to see nowadays, right? Where people are with somebody over 30 years.
It's rare, but not rare at F&M. I mean, there was a point in time where I was in the kind of the mid-20s of years of service, and I was at the median of our 800 employees.
Wow.
I think it's a great representation of the fact that the Walker family and their commitment to their employees and treating them as family is not just words. We have a lot of long-term great longevity at the company, which is great for business too, right? Mm-hmm. To the extent we deal with multi-generational families all the time. And to the extent you even have an understanding of that multi-generational aspect of their business, it's a huge advantage.
You mentioned the businesses, and I know I've mentioned this to you before and the others, that I own We own a hospice company, a healthcare company that we started 15 years ago, and your bank was one of those banks that was with us at the beginning in the startup of it, and we were going through some tough times, and we were able to step into that office on 17th Street, and so I just want to say personally thank you so much, and to Farmers Merchant Bank, because it means a lot for us. It really does.
No, great to hear that, John. I'm glad we were the ones. That's our commitment, particularly to Santa Ana. We have 2 branches. We just built a new one and opened up a new one recently.
Yes.
If you can tell me another bank that's done the same and has that level of commitment, I haven't heard of them. I know myself, again, being an Orange County guy, I love Santa Ana. I spend a lot of time in Santa Ana with a lot of our customers. A lot of our nonprofits are in Santa Ana. I think it's the heartbeat of Orange County.
I will tell you that corner that you guys opened that bank is actually a very popular corner. I was born and raised in Santa Ana. My wife in high school worked at that corner at that flower shop that was there many years ago.
Nice. It's got some history with your family,
so when
too.
I said to my wife, we're going to do this ribbon cutting and blah, 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 she's, wait, that's where I used to work in high school. So there's a lot of history in that. There's Norm's that's right there. There's a lot. The Bowers Museum is right down the street. So there's a lot in Santa Ana there.
And up and down Main Street, right? We have, starting at one end, Discovery Cube is a longtime customer. We've done some great stuff for them. Orange County
place.
School of the Arts.
Yes.
Mater Dei on the other side. Big Brothers, Big Sisters. El Sol Academy. They're all customers. We love them. And we're supportive of them in that Main Street corridor.
Yeah, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, a longtime member of our chamber too. They do some great work, so that's great to hear that.
Great work.
You're working with a lot of people in our community. What is your role, if you can share a little bit about that, at the bank?
Yeah, my new role, and keep in mind, I work with Dan as our chairman and Henry as our CEO. I'm not a walker. I am not of the family. I'm the first one actually to occupy this seat.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. That's not of the family. So I'm very humbled. It's a big responsibility at the same time. I have worked with they're in their 6th generation. I've worked with 5 of the generations. So my role going forward, and Henry and I, we've worked together, but now we are working very closely together. So we are, he is CEO. My role going forward will be the front end of the bank. And that's working with the branches, the communities, really everything at the front of the bank, the customer-facing parts of the bank, which frankly in my 32 years has been my biggest love. So I'm happy to be aligned in that space. And the growth plans and all the things we continue to do and those growth strategies that we're going to employ are largely charged to me going forward.
That's great.
Yeah.
Can you share with some of our viewers and listeners a little bit about what your passion is, some of your passion projects?
Yeah, I've had the opportunity as a bank. We oftentimes, it doesn't reflect as direct impact, right? I can't reach out and touch John, but what I can reach out and is touch all those institutions around John and make those better in your community. And our tools for that is finance. It's credit. It's deposit. It's all the things we do. My passion is 501c3. My passion is not for profit. I'll look back when I hang up the F&M hat, and there are some deals that we really transformed communities throughout Orange County and LA County that we had a hand in that otherwise wouldn't have gotten done. I think of one recent one, Cristo Rey, which is a great program for high school kids in Santa Ana. It's a national program where they give them work experience. And by the way, we're a big supporter. We have four kids from Cristo Rey working at the bank now.
That's
as
great.
Part of that support.
Wow.
But they were working on a deal. They needed a permanent home. And we had the wonderful honor of being their bank from the point they decided to open a high school. And we were able to really help them navigate that, and even did a synergistic deal with the Diocese of Orange to get them over the hump, right? We can bring in all those players, but it's that kind of Rubik's Cube of finance to impact those communities we serve. That's my passion. If we come out of a day and we've made a difference, that's the simple measurement for how well we're doing. Did we do some good today? Then thumbs up.
It's great to hear that you're working with a lot of these Hispanic, of course, communities and businesses. Obviously, as the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we're always looking to help our small businesses in the community. What other business would you say you all been working with, or other projects that you've been working with in the Hispanic community, or maybe something coming up?
Yeah, there's a lot that we've worked through. A lot of schools on the education front. We have a really big impact there. We do a lot in the social services space. I'll also say we have a big relationship in faith-based and in this specific case in the Catholic institutions of Orange County, the Diocese of Orange, which by extension, Catholic Charities and others, has a huge impact in the Hispanic community by virtue of that. Yes. And again, it's not direct to Hispanic, but we are impacting those institutions to hopefully allow them to serve the Hispanic community. Yeah, throughout. And I would say also our commitments to those areas that are heavily Hispanic, right? We're not We are absolutely focusing on those areas to deliver banking services and hopefully make a positive impact. So at a wide level. To your point, if you're starting a business or a small business man like the Gutierrez family started your business, come to us. We have a very robust SBA program. We're looking to help you get started as we did you. And we'd love to repeat that 1,000 times in those communities we serve. So we would encourage it.
What would you say are some of the challenges you encounter when somebody like me walks in and says, hey, I need some extra funding to start my business? What is the common thing for somebody listening that may be saying, wow, I'm going through that right now? What would you say is the common thing that you hear as a business owner that's a challenge for them, and that you can also obviously help out and advise and consult or be there for them?
Typically it's we're regulated, and those regulations swing back and forth in severity.
Okay.
And right now, frankly, coming out of the recent banking crisis, they're probably on the higher side of being quite challenging. So even though you come in with best of faith to get a loan, the scrutiny that we get as a regulated institution makes it quite difficult. Now, what we do is I believe we're one of the most nimble in finding a solution to getting you to the goal. And in some cases, I already mentioned SBA, they have some government support around some credit support that for us to allow those loans and allow those credits. Sometimes we can look at a balance sheet. Hey, maybe we can find a cosigner. So we have a lot of creative ways to approach it to try to get you to the goal line on that.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, from what I hear, a lot of times there's different programs changing or different opportunities.
Yeah.
It can vary. So if somebody went to see you maybe a year ago or somebody else, there could be another new opportunity.
They change rapidly. That's a great point, John. They change rapidly. I remember I was tasked with running the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, during COVID. And F&M, I'm very proud of our response at that time. We had a big part of the initial market share of California. We very dedicated, very committed. We hit it fast. But to your point, those regulations, as we saw them, we couldn't even keep up. They were changing so quickly from the SBA at that time. So they do change. They are fluid. Come back, check in. We've got a great group of bankers, particularly in that SBA area. Get their contacts, check in, have a conversation, and they'll keep you up to speed.
Yeah.
Yep.
I noticed you have a book with you.
Yes,
Can you share about that?
Yeah, this is the book.
He brought that for me, John. You were supposed to see that.
Paul, if your mind is a mountain, this one is yours. So.
Hold it up to the camera there.
Yeah, of course.
What's it say? My mind is a mountain.
My mind is a mountain. Yep, written by Cindy Montenegro.
My mind is a rabbit hole.
And I did read it before we came in, and and I've got my official notes here, but it's really a very nice book.
Is it? Who's it aimed at? What's it?
We'll be giving it out. We'll be giving it out in the community in our branches. So we'll be handing it out in the branches, making it available.
Towards kids?
Towards kids,
yeah.
And it's our representation and salute to National Hispanic Heritage Month.
Okay.
And written both in English and Spanish.
Oh, really?
And really driving to allow kids in the easiest form, an expressive way to express themselves in their feelings and hope.
You've had so many people on this show who came in and said, who is the woman? I was telling somebody the other day, to go down a rabbit hole for a second. She's now a public official over in Santa Ana of some sort. And she went to school somewhere there, and they said, you can't be this. You can't go to college. They're telling her early on in her career, you're not going to make it.
I think
because of where she came from.
I think also a lot of it has to do with, obviously, our upbringing, who surrounds you, right? Like in your neighborhood, Santa Ana is a melting pot. You have just people from all over the world. And this is great that you have a book like this that we can share with children in the community. For me, I've always felt like financial literacy is something that is lacking in our community.
Yeah.
At a young age, I can tell you personally, my dad was just so busy working as a labor worker. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that I'd be an entrepreneur or that I own my own business. So it's so far-fetched from who I was as a kid growing up. And to Paul's point, my dream was I want to grow up, go to school, and maybe become a teacher, right? And so other friends of mine would say to me, when I was growing up now as an adult, they say, no, you're not going to be a teacher. You're going to be a judge, or you're going to be an attorney. So the thought process behind how you're being raised matters, right? Who's mentoring you, who's supporting you. I think literacy plays a huge role. This is great that you're doing a book it's bilingual. You may or may not remember in Santa Ana from many years ago, there was a library called Libreria Martinez, Main Street actually, right down the street from Mr. Ruben Martinez, who's a dear friend of our chamber. He's actually one of our founders almost. He owned a small barbershop, and people would come in there and he'd have books for the kids to read. And eventually his like library grew, and the barbershop was just a small barbershop, and he had this huge eventually like library that he built out, and he had all these writers come out, and years later Chapman University bought that library.
I remember. Yeah, it was right by OSHA there, Main Street.
Yes, yes, Libreria Martinez.
Yes.
It's, for me as a kid, it meant a lot to go there when I was young and see all these cool books. And later I saw those same books in college. You know, one of them is called Reign of Gold, which is a great book. And so I think literacy plays a huge role in our community. So that's who decided to do this. If you can share a little bit about it.
We have a fantastically committed marketing team as well. That really represents the culture extremely well. Our commitment to this month, and it'll be in our branches from September 9th to October 3rd. And I know we have a signing going as well.
Oh, really?
Excuse me, not a signing, but a reading. Cindy will be in to actually read it.
Okay, so we want to invite the community.
So where would that be? And when would that be? If people want to, so you can come into a bank and somebody's going to read a book?
That's great.
Wow. She's looking at the marketing team over here. Do we know the date? We'll put it in there.
If not, we can always go back.
Yeah, we may have to go back. Yeah,
we'll look at what the date is.
More
than anything, I think it's great to see that a bank is taking this initiative to say, hey, we want to communicate with the community. Because I'll tell you one thing, as someone born and raised in Santa Ana, communication with the community is very difficult. We recently had like a kids leadership camp, and we were trying to communicate with the Santa Ana community, and the person putting it together was no other than legendary Laker AC Green.
Yeah.
And AC Green's a good friend of ours, comes to our golf tournaments. And he says, why aren't they signing up online? Why aren't they? And I said, AC, a lot of these parents, I know because my dad was like that, my mom, they don't communicate by being online. And these kids need to be pre-registered so we can get the shirts and the food and everything.
Sure.
And so communication with that Santa Ana base community sometimes can be a challenge.
Yeah.
So this is great that you guys are doing a book, inviting people to come listen to people, of course, read it. What's the hopes behind it? What would you say?
I would say it's an end game to really, there's so much challenge, particularly kids in battles almost at a mental health level. It's just a way that kind of coaches you through how to express your feelings, right? How you know what's going on inside. And instead of holding it all in, as many of us were taught, but to be expressive about it and let that flow and hopefully live a more healthy life.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
John was a football player. He was taught to suck it up.
As most of us were.
It's interesting. I have two sons, and I know that I can relate with this because my older son has a very expressive personality. My background's in sociology, so studying human behavior and personality traits is something that I utilize a lot in everything we do. And I said to my wife, I said, our younger son, Eli, he's typical, very quiet, very serious, and it's so hard to get anything out of him. Like, I can ask him a million questions, and everything's like, yes, no, yes, no. How was practice? It was good. That's it. My other son could be like, oh, practice was great. I hit this guy. He hit me. So this is great that in a book, we can reach out to the children that are combating a lot of these challenges right now.
Yeah, emotional regulation and just making sure how to manage your feelings, right? How to hopefully give yourself an outlet and manage through that.
So share a little bit about, I know you mentioned earlier, the Roman Catholic Diocese of Orange County. What is the hopes as you go along with them more in the community? Because that's another great way to really impact and help that community,
and you got two big Catholics. John's a true believer, and I'm a good Irish Catholic who, one of the handful in my family still goes there.
As I am, so we'll make it a trinity here. But
the Holy Trinity today.
Yeah, no, we in the Walker family, it's a great history with the Christ Cathedral campus, by way of example.
Beautiful.
Their family goes back, and when it was
beautiful.
Crystal Cathedral, their father, Ken Walker, was actually Robert Schuler's banker in those days.
Really?
So they got a wonderful history with that parcel and that property in particular. But going back, we had an opportunity. Some of it ties back to that cathedral when it went into bankruptcy, and we were able to come in and do somewhat of a rescue package and support the diocese in that acquisition.
Because they were talking about tearing it down and turning it into something else.
And
that's a shame.
And that's a great comment, Paul, because again, the Walkers, it was a little bit biblical in that Ken Walker, that was one of his life's legacies, is that the financing of that beautiful cathedral, Crystal Cathedral. And the torch had really passed from Ken to Dan and Henry, 3 to generation 4, G3 to G4, as I like to say. And the Walker brothers, Dan and Henry, recognized that, Paul, to your point, they didn't want it torn down. It was a beautiful...
The Schuler family didn't. Certainly, as a Protestant denomination, it wasn't their first thing to turn it into a Catholic cathedral. But better that than whatever, a corporate campus or something, and they came out and said, we'd rather it be a church.
Yeah, and I think the Walker family held those same views, right? Down to the point where we were the lead creditor in the court. We had the first trust deed, and we were approached numerous times. He was the CEO at that time, to have it bought out. And it would have been an easy answer. Could have got it off our books. The regulators are happy, board's happy. But he refused. And recognizing just in deference to his dad, his dad was very proud. They're a very Christian family. We're a Christian bank. And they didn't want it repurposed into apartments or anything else. So Dan really stood in and supported the diocese in a number of different ways in the acquisition through the bankruptcy court of that property. And by virtue of that, we'd already done quite a bit of business with the Diocese of Orange. But by virtue of that, we ended up being the bank of really the entirety of the Diocese of Orange. And quite proudly, it's very much aligned with our own culture. And again, by virtue of that, I think, again, back to COVID and PPP loans, the church was the first line responder, right, to the social needs of our communities, particularly those that were hard pressed, the Santa Ana's, Anaheim's, Garden Grove. Yeah. To the extent we could get them money quickly, they could help their communities. So they were a frontline responder. So to the extent that we are, again, we're not at the front lines, but we are supporting those institutions that do. Yeah, and that was a little bit of the start, but we're proud to be the bank of the Diocese of Orange.
I'm so glad you brought up key points, and I listened to all this because as a small business owner, which many of our viewers and listeners are that are part of our Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, it's so important to know that there's a place we can go when those hard times come. You mentioned bankruptcy. That's such a unfortunate word to hear as a small business owner. It's the fear of, I don't want to end up there. And to know that someone's there to help us through those tough times is important. In healthcare like us, we get paid by the government. And so sometimes it can be delayed. And as a small business owner, it's with labor law, as we know, right? Like, it's very scary because you got to pay your employees. And can you or can you not make payroll? And that is where knowing that you can go to a bank and say, hey, I'm going through these tough times. I need to just get a little bit of money while this money comes in. Is that something obviously you see or hear a lot, obviously being in the banking industry?
Yeah, and that's one of our hallmarks, John. It's a good question that we do stand by our customers. We pride ourselves on workouts and working through those scenarios.
Yeah.
And that was a relationship with the Schuler family until it became a legal action when they declared bankruptcy. And Paul, to your comment earlier about Robert Schuler, he did have those plans blessed before he built the Crystal Cathedral by Pope John Paul II.
Oh, my God. Did he really?
We've got the picture.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got the picture.
Well, I just remember because there's always a certain antagonism between Christians and between Protestants and Catholic, goes back centuries. And the notion that it would become a Catholic cathedral, I know, was startling to many.
Yeah.
But I remember reading, they said, better that than an apartment building. And to your point, I just got to give you my hats off because it's a spectacular place.
Yeah. Yeah,
you could have made more money if you turned it into apartments or something else. There were a lot of people, I'm sure, offering more money. That takes something to say, money's important, we've got people backing us, but maybe money ain't the only thing.
Yeah, it's in our minutes. We called it a kingdom asset. And a kingdom asset it remained. So
how about that?
Yeah. So it was
a new category of assets.
There is. Yeah, I'm not sure it's recognized, but at F&M Bank it's recognized.
How about that?
Yeah.
It goes to show who, obviously, the Walker family is.
Big time.
That's
yeah, and it's all about them setting that tone. And I'm so blessed to be able to be in this position as a non-family member. But
and I don't hear people use the word "I'm blessed" then we talk about banking. I'm blessed to be at this bank. I'm blessed to be in this bank here.
Well,
usually the banks, the offices.
Paul, I just went down my Catholic roads.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
We appreciate everything you're doing, of course, in general with businesses and, of course, honoring, of course, National Hispanic Heritage Month. We really appreciate.
Absolutely. No, it's our pleasure.
Yeah.
It's our pleasure.
And if there's anything else that you would like to also point out, feel free. As far as Hispanic Heritage Month, of course, we're in it right now.
It's a great month, but we love supporting the Hispanic community, the other 11 as well. And we do.
Of course.
It's one of our commitments. If we are going to be true to our calling to serve this community, it's a third, if not more, of our community, and we will be true to that community.
Can I ask you a hard question? Maybe I shouldn't throw you a loop in here, but so many banks have become so big through the mergers through the years. I don't see many community banks left. How have you maintained through generation after generation that commitment? Because you're a big bank now. This isn't a small little mom and pop bank. You're a big regional player here. national player. How do you still maintain a community focus in such a big organization?
Yeah, that's a great question, Paul, and I appreciate it. And I'll tell you, it goes back to our beginning because the Walker family started F&M not long after Amedeo Giannini founded B of A up in San Francisco. It was Bank of Italy. He had designs on being a national branch bank. The Walker family only wanted to be the best and the safest in the communities they serve. Their rule of thumb was you cannot go beyond a horse and buggy, beyond Long Beach.
Yes.
San Clemente's a pretty fast horse. Santa Barbara is a really fast horse, but that's a one-off. But Paul, it was their desire to reign true to their abilities to be the best and the safest in those communities they serve. We are growing. It is organic. We don't merge or bought any other banks. The culture is so unique, it's difficult to do that anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to grow organically, stick to our knitting, serve those communities that we serve, stay true to our culture. And there's plenty, depending on how you size it, we're the 13th, Southern California. Our market right here is 13th largest economy in the world.
Yeah.
If we can't make that work, we're doing something wrong anyway. So
Yeah, and I just want to say, for those of you viewing or listening to us, a lot of our members are in that Santa Ana area, business owners. Go see that new, I say new because we were part of the ribbon cutting. What's it been, 2 years now, maybe? More?
About 2 years
2
ago.
years?
Yeah.
Go see that branch because it's a beautiful bank. It's a beautiful branch. I love just the windows and the lighting that's
and
in
who's
there.
opening branches? Everywhere I turn around,
17th
they're
and Main.
closing
17th and Main right there.
They're
right?
trying to move me more and more online and away from somebody walking in the door and knowing my name.
Yeah, we are fully committed, Paul. We are contrarian there. We're committed to the bricks and mortar. We think it's absolutely part of our commitment. I mentioned earlier, we own most of it. We own the fee land. We're not leasing and hitting the road if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Property in Santa Ana, the new branch, we own that. We just opened up.
Which says a commitment to be there.
Exactly.
You're not just renting, and if this doesn't work out, we'll move down the street and we'll rent somewhere else.
Yeah, it's part of the symbology and culture that we're permanent. We're not, this isn't going to be a lease and run. We have Laguna Beach that just came online, and then we just bought a branch out in Yorba Linda. So we are fully committed to bricks and mortar when the rest of the banking world is not. You don't really need the argument is you don't need a branch bank until you do. And we are there when you need us. You can walk down and go see us.
And how do you, especially if you're a merchant, how do you bring in coin? How do you sit down and get a relationship with somebody so they'll work with you to find a workaround or a workout or any of the other things you need? If it's just all online talking to an anonymous customer service person, which so many of you come, I don't know how the small merchants play in that area.
Yeah, and that's a part of our competitive advantage that we'll continue to stick to. We welcome folks to come in and visit the branches. And Paul, you and I are speaking a little bit before we started here today, and it has become commoditized, unfortunately. Our differentiator...
They all seem the same to me. I'm sorry to say. One bank is another. My wife used to work in banking, and her philosophy was they're all going to turn into one bank.
Yeah.
There's going to be the bank.
Yeah. Our differentiator, I think, is very evident if you ever walk into a branch. That's why we encourage you to come into a branch. You'll be treated at the service level. We are there to solve any issues you have. We are responsive. You're not going to get an offshore hotline. You're going to go right into the branch. We give you our cell phone numbers, so we are there to solve your problems.
We're going to give away a book.
And we're going to give away My Mind is a Mountain.
I think the book also shows that you're family oriented, right?
Yeah.
I see a book, and that's what I think, especially for the children. And that's, at the end of the day, I'm thinking about my sons and their legacy, right? And what we pass on to them. So this is great that you're also giving back to the community, and we thank you for that. We really do. We appreciate all you're doing in the community. We've run out of time. I do apologize. We'll have you guys back again, of course.
That did go fast. You warned me.
But again, we want to thank you and, of course, your whole team and everybody for just always supporting our Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We really appreciate all your support.
It's our honor, John. And thank you for that opportunity to partner with you again. We are very honored to do so. Thank you for that chance.
We're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, and today's podcast was brought to you by Farmers and Merchants Bank. Take it away, Mr. Paul Roberts. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you. Thanks, John. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Wow, there's a great story as we continue to highlight the stories and meet the members of our community like F&M Bank. Powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, brought to you by Orange County's only community radio station, OCTalkRadio, streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Field Applied Innovation Center.